After a harrowing 8 months in British Columbia and the southern Alaskan wilderness, Joseph Trimble Rothrock and company staggered back to California. Despite starvation, freezing conditions, and mounting obstacles, he'd managed to collect 1 crate of botanical samples. As his boat was floating down the Siquire River, it capsized, sinking his entire 8 months of work to the bottom of the frigid river. Disheartened, he returned to San Francisco empty-handed. There he encountered fellow lieutenant and scientist William Dahl. According to Dahl's diary, William Dahl had spent a comfortable winter in Monterey and San Francisco, happily collecting. Dahl grew angry at Rothrock's lack of scientific ability and collected samples. Dahl berated and belittled Rothrock. Dahl wrote scathing letters of Rothrock's failure and incompetency to Kennicott and the Smithsonian. In disgrace, Rothrock gathered his things and grabbed the next steamer home to Pennsylvania. Neither man knew that Kennicott had recently perished in Alaska without collecting a single sample. Starvation, failure, and tragedy had plagued both legs of the expedition. In Moss's biography of Rothrock, in October 1866, Rothrock sent a letter from home in Pennsylvania to his mentor, Dr. Gray, explaining his failure. He never laid blame. He humbly pointed out that the organizers failed to provide adequate provisions for them to do adequate scientific work. He expressed his dissatisfaction and bitter regret for the lost opportunity. According to historian Hill, March 30th, 1867, Stewart and Stockel were ready to sign the Alaskan Purchase Treaty. But only a handful of people knew about the deal. When the deal became public in early summer of 1867, the shocked public knew nothing about Alaska. Conflicting reports left the public even more confused. Some reports stated that it was a wasteland with nothing but polar bears and ice. Other reports told of large forests, prevalent game, and untapped minerals like gold and silver. Distrust of the corruption in the government left the general public confused. What was the truth? What was Alaska really like? They could not trust the government, but they did trust the science of the Smithsonian to give them accurate information. The Smithsonian had very little to give as Kennicott lay dead, and the rest of the team were still in Alaska, save for Rothrock. In the summer of 1867, the Smithsonian commissioned Rothrock on behalf of the Secretary of the U.S. Treasury to make a report for the whole expedition. Rothrock declined at first, but on urging from friends, accepted and returned to Harvard and Dr. Gray's herbarium. The Smithsonian sent to this herbarium thousands of reports, findings, and samples. This official report, Flora of Alaska, was used by lawmakers and the American people to decide for themselves if Alaska was worth the money.